Well, let's begin with the consonants. A, the stops. As you can see from the leaflet, Classical Greek had 9 stops. 3 plain-voiced stops, represented by the letters beta, delta, gamma, and pronounced very much like the modern English sounds b, d, g. 3 plain voiceless stops, represented by pi, tor, and kappa, which we normally pronounce like English p, t, and k. And 3 voiceless aspirated stops, represented by the letters phi, theta, and chi, which many people pronounce f, th, h. But we have very good evidence that phi, theta, and chi were pronounced in Classical Attic not as f, th, h, but as p, t, k, like the English stops, but with plenty of aspiration. How do we know? Here is some of the evidence. First, in a passage from a work on sounds ascribed to Aristotle, phi, theta, and chi are described as, quote, expelling the air immediately with the sounds, unquote, which suits stops, but not continuous sounds like f, th, h. Secondly, when pi, tor, and kappa appear at the end of a word, and the next word begins with an H, they are written with phi, theta, and chi, respectively. For example, the Greek for no or not, which before a vowel is uk, omicron, upsilon, kappa, has the alternative spelling uk, omicron, upsilon, chi. For example, not Homer is uk Homeros. Thirdly, Latin had the sound f and the letter f, which would have been the obvious choice had Latin speakers heard Greek phi as f. Eventually they did, but not until the 1st century AD, when we find Latin spellings such as Daphne, D-A-F-N-E, for earlier Dapne, D-A-P-H-N-E. Until then, when Latin transliterates a Greek word with phi in it, it uses not f, but p or ph. For example, in the personal name Philippus, which we still spell with ph in English Philip. So too, theta and chi are transliterated with Latin t and c, or th and ch. For example, in the names of the city of Corinth, Corinto, and King Antiochus, Antiocho, in early Latin inscriptions. Now, these aspirates are actually very easy for English speakers to get right, because we naturally tend to aspirate p, t, and k, especially at the start of a word. Try this for yourself. Say pin, tin, kin to the back of your hand or to a candle flame, and feel or watch the effect. You are pronouncing Greek phi, theta, and chi perfectly. But we aspirate less away from the start of a word or syllable. Try the same test with spin, sting, skin, and notice the difference. A much smaller sensation on your skin, and the flame hardly moves. In spin, sting, skin, we are correctly pronouncing Classical Greek pi, tor, kappa, true, plain, unaspirated stops. Our real problem, as English speakers, lies in pronouncing pi, tor, and kappa at the start of the word without aspiration. For example, the Greek for I stretch is teinor, starting with tor, but a Greek might well think we are saying teinor, starting with a theta, I strike. Again, the Greek for all things, panta, starts with a pi, but again a Greek might think we were saying panta, starting with a phi, meaning having spoken. One way of trying to get the right sound is to replace pi, tor, and kappa with a whispered beta, delta, gamma. saying almost gaynor, bunter. It is true, however, that for language learning purposes in class, the pronunciation f, th, h has something to recommend it. At least then you are never in doubt as to which letters are intended. But in our recorded extracts, we have tried to pronounce phi, theta and chi consistently as aspirated stops. See how many mistakes you can spot. If we do pronounce them th, th, h in places, we can at least say that this is how they eventually came to be pronounced, although probably not until the 1st century AD at the earliest.